Welcome back to Any Last Words. It's Wednesday, so let's get into a handful of horror with 10 things you may or may not know about Hellraiser. Hellraiser is an S&M/horror movie that's over 3 decades old. And yeah, number one, so graphic. The MPAA told Clive that he was going to have to cut down and scrap some of the scenes that he'd already filmed in his movie if he wanted to have an R rating to it. Now, several love scenes were cut due to how graphic they were. One of Julia's victims was supposed to be a fully nude male, which had to also be reshot and cut. On top of the murder with the hammer, just because I guess it showed the hammer actually going in his head. I don't know, but they had to cut it out. It was too much. So, number two, prosthetic problems like crazy. Several people had vision problems, including Pinhead himself. He wore the black contacts, which caused him to pretty much be blind. Chatterbox was completely blind due to the prosthetics covering his face. They didn't really make eye holes for him until like the second movie, I think it said. As well as Butterball. It was really hard for him to talk as well. They actually had lines, but because the prosthetics were just so much, they had to rewrite some of the script. So, number three, several characters actually had a name change in the process of all this. And one technically wasn't a name change as much as it was a name adoption. Pinhead originally was not named Pinhead. He was actually called the Priest in the script. And then later on he was changed to Lead Cenobite. Pinhead was just a nickname that ended up sticking later on. As well as the female Cenobite's name was actually Deep Throat. So, yeah. I mean, I guess. I don't know why I thought it was cute. Yeah. Number four. The original title of the movie was called Sadomasochist from Beyond the Grave, which I'm glad they changed, because I think even Deep Throat would say that's a mouthful. Number five. Nintendo was actually in the works of making a Hellraiser video game, which from what I heard was supposed to be the first game where you can stop and save in place, which would have been really, really cool at the time because you couldn't do that at the time if you're from that era and you're familiar with those games. But due to coding errors that they couldn't figure out, they just never finished the game. So, I don't know. Maybe someone else will pick it up and try doing it again. Or maybe Mortal Kombat 11 will put it in there because Mortal Kombat 11 has... Woo! Sorry, that's my jam right there. I love that game. It's got so many different characters in it. I'm going to stop now. Okay. Number six. Technically, Pinhead is not the villain in the first film. It's actually creepy-ass Uncle Frank and Julia. They're the ones that really cause a lot of problems by murdering people and doing weird, freaky, kinky sex shit and just being really malicious and bad people. Pinhead and the Cenobites just show up just to basically talk to the niece and then snatch Frank up at the end. Number seven. A crossover, a plot twist, and a sequel. The original ending of Jason vs. Freddy in 2004 was actually supposed to have them in hell approached by Jason and Pinhead themselves, kind of leaving it open for a continuation to go from there. But that never quite happened. What had happened was Dimension Films just couldn't get the rights for it, so maybe one day. Number eight. Pinhead is actually an old comic book. Marvel in 1991 actually started a Pinhead action comic, if you will. Back then, Marvel was very graphic. Well, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really seen a Marvel comic in a long time, so I can't really say anymore. But I remember back then, they were very graphic. More for adults than they were for kids. So yeah, I can see that. I can see that for sure. Number 9. After the box office fail of Hellraiser number 4, all of them pretty much went straight to video. And they technically weren't even Hellraiser films. They were all independent horror films on their own, with the Cenobites written into the films just so they can retain the Hellraiser rights and not lose their shit with the franchise. For when a time like 2021 comes up and they're gonna do their own movie. So, smart move. But yeah, that's probably why they all sucked. Number 10. No one knew that Doug Bradley was Pinhead. He had so much makeup and prosthetics on every single day on set around the other actors that at the end of the day when he took everything off and went to go hang out with everyone, they didn't even know who the hell he was. It's kind of sad and kind of like, I don't know, relieving at the same time. You know, if you want to avoid some people you didn't really like on set. So, that's 10 things you may or may not have known about Hellraiser. I'm sure there's more out there, so don't be mad if I missed anything. If I did, make sure you put it in the comments below so that I see. And so that other people can see as well, because they may not have known either. Thank you for watching, and I hope you follow, like, subscribe, and share to my YouTube, my Facebook, my Instagram, and my Patreon, where you can see lots of other stuff. See you next time, creepy bastards. Have nightmares about me.